You know, in some cases, animals take way better care of their young than human. You ever notice how a hen looks after her chicks? She would give her own life before she allow anything to happen to one of her chick. I have some women out there who would give anything to be impregnated and gifted with a child, but just can't get one. And then you have those who's gifted with a child and them abuse them or put them at the hands of others to use and abuse them. This story right here that was shared on Unstoppable Live is a mother who was talking about how her very own mother put her out her house, pack her things in some scandal bag and threw her out. And for what reason? Simply because she told her mother what her stepfather was doing to her. But it didn't stop there. She got a second chance to fix things with her daughter. But instead of fixing things with her daughter, she basically was trying to sell her daughter to her boss, who could have been her daughter's grandfather. Family, take a listen to this very disturbing and upsetting one that was shared on Unstoppable Live.
I'm an only child from my mother. Okay. And we was living in Jamaica. Currently right now we're not living there, but we was living in Jamaica. I could remember when I was 15 years old, my mother was living with this man, and I noticed at all times, like when I would be sleeping in my bed, he would come inside there and trying to touch me. And I explained this to my mother, and the first thing she told me, she said, I am lying on her boyfriend and that she cannot have me to stay in her house to break up her relationship, so I have to leave. Anyway, she packed in Jamaica, we call scandal bag. She packed 3 scandal bags for me with my clothes, and she put them out at the gate, and she told me I have to leave. Guys, I want you all to know at this time I was only 15 years old. Okay? Anyway, when she told me I have to leave, I did not know my father, my biological father at the time. My grandmother had passed, so I had nowhere to go. I know nobody to go to, a friend or nobody. You know, when we small going to school as young girls, I was 15, I had a boy, I was talking to him in the school. He had liked me, I had liked him. And when she put me out, I had no other altercation than to go and ask this guy if I could stay by him for a couple of times. He said, well, okay, no problem. And I was staying there until after she ended up travel away, and she came back and she told me that she have to go to St. Martin and she's going to try to make a life for both of us and that she will come back and get me. I said, okay, no problem. At this time, I was still staying by this young guy's place. Years passed by, and she came back to Jamaica. I was 16 now. She came back to Jamaica. When she came back, she was telling everybody, like, yeah, she worked and she saved her money and she come down Jamaica to come and collect she daughter, and you know, she was explaining to the people in that area. And after that, we went, we get a ticket, we get everything. We fly, came to St. Martin. When we landed at the airport, I realized they was asking, cause you know when you're traveling, they give you this this form that you have to fill out to see where you're staying, who is responsible for you, and how much money you have.
Yes.
Okay, we filled those all the time. We reached there. They called me back and they sent her to look for the person who was responsible for us on the island. Anyway, when she goes, she came back with him and he signed that he's responsible for us and everything. When we take our luggage, we went outside by the car. We put the stuffs in the trunk, so I was standing at the back door on the passenger side. I noticed she told me I have to go in the front seat. You know, she like bounced me and tell me go in the front seat. I didn't know what going on still, you know, I go in the front seat. So I noticed every time when this man and my mother talking, every time like he get a joke, he would always like pat me on my legs. Remember, I am only 16 years old. He was like 70 something years old. Okay? So when I see him doing that, I kind of push his hand off of me. Now my mother's in the back of me, see me doing this, and she was like in the back seat, like using her finger to choke me in my head, like, what are you doing, you know? So anyway, when we reach by the hotel room now, we get packed in and I asked her about what really going on because, you know, she started to explain me, well, she used to work for this man and she just come to St. Martin and things ain't going good for her. She don't have any money and the man see my picture and he liked me and he sent her to Jamaica for me. You understand? Anyway, it happens that I found out I was pregnant because, as I explained to y'all earlier on, when I was 15, she threw me out and I had to go and stay with this guy. Anyway, I came to Martin the Saturday. The Saturday night, this man take me out. I didn't really up to it or anything, but I had to listen to my mother at the time. She sent me go out on dates and things. The night when I came back with him, now, I was in my room talking to my mother in the hotel. I noticed the hotel phone rings. When she picked up, she told me that the man need to see me. I asked her, what is his room number? She told me, 219. Went down the hall, knock on the door. I heard a voice said, come in. When I opened the door, I stepped inside. This man was naked as the day he was born. My mother's boss, she used to work for this person.
So
okay?
Your mother sent you to a room where her boss was and said, him need to see you.
Yes, and when I reached there, it was naked.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Okay, so as I said, when I opened the door and I stepped inside, this man was naked. So when I seen, to my surprise, I said, sorry, you know, I was like, sorry, excuse me, I didn't mean to come inside on you like that. He said, no, it's no problem. Come in and come. And he sat on the bed and he pushed over and he said, come in and lay down next to him. I said, sir, no disrespect, but you know that you're old enough to be my grandfather? When I tell the man that, the man said, get the effing out of my room. Get the F out of my room. So I come out of the room and I went straight back to my mother. But not knowing on the way going back to my mother, he done phone call her already and tell her that I disrespected him. So at the time when I reached there now, open my room door and go inside, it's just licks greeting me. Mop stick with licks greeting me. Oh, it's young boy you want, we can't give you nothing. And the big man don't and like you. The mama can give you money. And have supermarket. And have this and have that. And want that. Okay. That's just a piece of how I grew up with my mother. I had a family friend back in Jamaica. I used to confide in her and tell her everything. You know, like how my mother used to treat me from I was younger and everything. And she always tell me, Ashika, don't worry yourself, you know, God is good. And one day you're going to grow up and your mother will be sorry for these things that she keep doing to you. You know, it's only that one lady I could have confided in and say anything at all to. Because my mother is the kind of person like this. She's not the kind of mother that I can go and sit her down and talk to her and tell her anything. She will not believe me. You understand? and the guy who I was staying with, his family members, I will talk to them because, they saw underage girls staying with their family, they're going to question it. So when I tell them, and the other thing I forget to tell you, my father is also a police officer. You understand? But I really don't want to give out too much details on that part there because,
Okay.
as I told you, when I was at that age, I did not know my biological father. Okay?
Mhm.
So yeah, when we said Martin now, as I tell you, I was working, I was doing a security job, and I get fired from a security job. Then I was working at the bank. When I was working at the bank, I rented a 2-bedroom house. It was $500. I had my daughter living by me. She was going to school and everything. A day she came home from school, she was like 7 years old. She came home, no, she was 11, sorry. She came home from school and she was playing after she come from school. I was inside cooking. Then after I hear she like cry out. When I ran outside and came back inside, she said that a little boy, he was playing with a slingshot, we call this in Jamaica. When he let go the stone, it hit her in the eye. So when she told me that, I cussed her and I said, you like to play with smaller children than your age. He's 11 and he's 5 years old. What are you doing playing with him? And she went to sleep, and when she woke up, I see the eyes dripping water. Just one eye, keep dripping water, constant, constant, constant. When I saw the eye keep dripping water, I brought her to the doctor the same day. And he tests the eye and he gave me a prescription to buy the medications and tell me if I see that I'm not getting any better, I should take her to a specialist. And he gave me the letter to bring her to the specialist. Weeks goes by, bringing her to the specialist. He always testing the eyes, giving me eye drops for the eyes, and ain't telling me if the eye is functioning well. And every time I ask him a question, he's like, he really can't give me no good answer. So it was this specific day, was the last appointment we had.
Mhm.
I went there and he told me I have to fly to Jamaica for a surgery on my daughter's eye because they don't have the machine in St. Martin to do the eye. Anyway, he told me that like it was like the Wednesday, and by the Saturday I was already in Jamaica with my daughter. I spent 1 year and 3 months down there for the eye. She was admitted to the children's hospital. We did the eyes, we came back.
Mhm.
When I came back from Jamaica, they had broken into my house here in St. Martin. My water was cut. Everything was a mess in the house. So I allowed my daughter to stay with my mother on the French side because the island here we're living in St. Martin is divided in 2 parts. You have the Dutch side and you have the French side. Okay, so my mother told me no problem. She could stay with her because she understand. I came back from Jamaica. I lost my job. I owe my landlord, my light, my water cut, everything. So I allowed her to go there. Came back like a week after I got the security work. Started to work. I cleared all my bills. My mother still told me she wants to hold her for the company because remember, as I explained you guys, I'm an only child for my mother.
Mhm.
Anyway, my mother was living not too far from me in this district. Then a day she came home, she told me she need to talk to me because she met someone and they started to live together. And I told her I was happy for her, and she introduced this man to me. And he was like a jovial person. He's always smiling, he's always nice, and so forth. Until my daughter turned 15 years old. At 15, my mother and my daughter have an altercation where my mother had hit her, and she had run and came by me. She ran and come home by me. Anyway, when she come by me, she explained me that my stepfather looks like he don't like her because he's always telling lies to my mother on her. And my mother always believed in him and beating her. I said, you know what? It's best you take your clothes and you go and stay with me. She said, no, she don't want to stay with me because where my mother lived, it's more better for her from there to go to school.
Let me ask you. Sorry to cut you, but okay, so knowing the kind of mother your mother was, based on how you grew up, why did you even allow your daughter to go and stay with her?
Just what Walter did. As I tell you, Unstoppable, I just landed back from St. Martin, from Jamaica to St. Martin. I'm out of cash. I ran out of cash, Jamaica. I came here. I have nothing. I owe my landlord. I could not sleep in my own house because the way how when they break in there, they have stuff thrown on everywhere. So I allow her to stay with my mother until when I catch myself. When I catch myself, I went back to my mother and I tell her I need her company. I need the girl, like my daughter, to come back and stay with me because, you know, I need the company because I live in a house by myself. But my daughter chooses to stay there. And then the stepfather, he spoke to me and he told me, don't worry about her, man. She's in good hands. I will try in any way possible to make sure she goes to school and make sure she's comfortable and everything. So I said, okay, you know, no problem. On the weekend, she come and she spend weekends with me and we talk and we laugh. Until didn't have no problem in treating her, doing her nothing, because every time she comes by me, we speak, and my daughter, she don't hide nothing from me. She tells me everything. Until now, it was like she was 15 at the time. 2 years passed. She makes 17. And she makes 17. In those 2 years passed, I make her other baby. I got married, and I live in with my husband now. So whenever weekends time comes, she just come over, spend weekend, like she come on a Saturday, she go home a Sunday. A Saturday I was here home alone, and my husband was at work. She came, and when she came, we was there, we cook, we eat, we drink, we talk, we laugh, we play. My husband come home now. And it was like 15-20 minutes after he came home, she told me she have something she wanted to talk to me about. I was like, okay. So I said, but why when me and you alone was here, you didn't tell me this? Why you wait until when my husband come now to tell me this? Because, you know, sometimes when you're talking to your children, it's not everything you have to make a man know. Anyway, she said, I want to tell you, no, but I don't want you to go back and tell Mummy nothing, because she called my mother Mummy. I said, okay. She told me she don't feel comfortable by the house where she's staying, because every time when she walking in the house, my stepfather, like, he would be touching her on her ass, and when she in the bathroom bathing, he would just find no cause, but just to come in there, not for anything, just to come in there, just to see if he could get a chance to see her naked. And the last thing she told me, that it was 2 days after her birthday, back in 2017, he raped her. I said, what you said? He said, she told me he raped her. When she told me that, I got very upset, you know? And my husband was like, boy, babe, it's best you get a gypsy or a taxi and you go for this girl clothes and leave her come stay here with us. I get a friend and I get my daughter and we leave. When I was on my way walking, my mind told me to stop and confront my mother on her job. So when we was in the bus, because we did not get a gypsy at the time, I could not wait on that gypsy. When we was in the bus, my man told me to come off by the workplace. I stopped off there. And me and my friend, we went in the store where my mother was working. But I leave my daughter outside to say I would confront her alone to hear what she would tell me. And if I find she lying to me, then I will call my daughter inside. I went inside, I see her. I said, good morning. She said, morning. I said, so you could tell me what's going on with your mom and my daughter? She said, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean by what I mean? My daughter told me that he raped her. And I was angry. I was shouting. So she told me not to shout and just explain her quietly what really going on. So I tell her what my daughter told me. She said, my daughter's lying. I went outside and I called my daughter. When she come, my daughter tell her the same thing that she tell me. She said, no, it's not so it go. It's not so it go. I never tell you. I never know that you were sleeping with a man. Because my daughter tell me that my mother, when she explained these things to my mother tell her to continue to do these things with the man because he got money. You know, he got money, he got apartments, he working for the government, everything, and he's 65 years old. You understand? So my mother tell her to continue to do this thing for the money until when the man finished make her house, then she could stop. So when I asked my mother that, my mother said she did not tell my daughter anything like that. So I reminded her of when I was younger. And when I used to try to tell her things, she was not believing in me either. Then I tell her, I'm going to the police station and I'm going to try and make a complaint on this man. And I'm going by the house to pack up her stuff and I'm taking her out of the house. She said, I must do what I want. But one thing she know, from heaven to her, she would not let a 65-year-old man touch my daughter. Anyway, unstoppable. From there, I went straight by the gendarmerie with her. The gendarmerie is the police for the French side. When we went there, we make our statement. She put her statement and they signed it. They asked for the address, everything. She gave it. And it's like they said, there's like a drone there to take the pictures of the yard and stuff like that. Anyway, like a week after the statement was given against my mother and the man, because I tell her to make sure that she tell them about my mother too. When she gave that statement, a week after they went and they arrest both of them. When they arrest them, they question my mother, and after questioning her, they let her out a couple of hours after, and they said that they believe her side of the story, that she did not know anything about my daughter and the man. Anyway, like 2 days or a day after they let out this man, you know, and say like they're going to check my daughter, like for her to go to the doctor, for her to see a psychologist and everything. They gave me the letter. I brought her to the doctor, the hospital. She saw a gynecologist. He checked her. They take pictures of her private. And there was nothing of the sort like how my daughter was saying it. The man did not have sex with her because he has prostate cancer. And somebody with prostate cancer cannot have an erection. Now come to terms. After all of this had happened, it's like we went to the court. The court put off for the next date. We went back. When we went back, they locked him up. They gave him, he was supposed to stay there for 9 years. He's 65. He was supposed to stay there for 9 years, but I think he's saying he coming out sometime next year. But the thing is, my daughter, she was lying on this man. Okay? What happened? She was sleeping with him for the money without my mother knowing, because I have a 11-year-old daughter, and my 11-year-old daughter walked in on my stepfather and my 17-year-old daughter. He was down on her when my 11-year-old daughter walked in the room. She saw that because they sent her to the shop. When they sent her to the shop, she forgot what she was supposed to buy. She came back to ask again, and when she came back, this is what she saw. She said when she see this, my 17-year-old daughter come out of the room with a towel on and pull her in her clothes and tell her, make sure you don't tell nobody what you just see. So when she told her, when my 11-year-old daughter tell me that, to question back my big daughter again. And then when I questioned her, she keep denying it. Then she said he never had sex with her. He only pushed his fingers. And he went down on her. Okay? The reason for she to do this is because when all these things was going on, she and my stepfather in the house, my mother and him have an altercation, and my mother packs him off her clothes and give him like a break. You know? A break. She was staying by a friend. But he's the kind of person like this, if he knows he's going to throw you out of his house, he will not let you go with the children then, because he don't want them to be on the road, and he already had no maid situation already. So what happened now, when my mother was away, this is how they get the freedom of the house to do what they want. My daughter asking for an iPhone 8 or iPhone 9, which I think this phone costs $1,000 something. He refused to give it to her. When he refused to give it to her, at the time when my mother and him make up back from the problems, he promised to buy my mother a Jeep. So my daughter overheard the conversation of him promising my mother a Jeep by not giving her the iPhone, and she's the one who is sleeping with him, and my mother is not sleeping with him because my mother is a Christian, and they sleep in separate bedrooms. So because he did not give her the phone, she planned this lie to come and tell it to me and let me turn against my mother and the man, bring her to the station to write him up, and now he's arrested.
But, okay, I understand what you're saying, that she lied, right? But that still doesn't make what happened right, though.
No, I never said that what he did was right. I never said it.
Mm-hmm.
But is after all of this happened, she confessed that it was from she's 15. She's been letting him doing these things to her, and she did not tell anybody nothing. Is when he started to refuse her stuff, she started to speak to my mother about it. When he started to refuse her, this is why she go to my mother, and then when she go to my mother and she don't get the satisfaction from my mother, she know I have a very bad temper, so she come to me. But she's been doing this for years, you understand? But he should have been the bigger person and said it to my mother, or call me and said that Marcia, your granddaughter, is a little bad girl.
But listen, see, like I said, I understand what you're saying. But first of all, how old was this man at the time, you say? Remind me.
He's 65 now.
Okay. And your daughter at that time was how old?
She said she was 15 at the time.
Okay, so whether she tell a lie on him, forget something to take revenge or whatever, him deserve what him get.
Yes, he deserves what he gets. He deserves it. But I wasn't finished.
All right, go
because
ahead.
I moved her out from from their house, and I brought her here with my husband. If you was in a situation like that and you claims that you was innocent, he forced you to do what you said he did to you. You come here now, I take you out of that situation and I bring you in my house. When you come in my house, I only have a 1 bedroom. It's not big like where you was living. I have a 1 bedroom, a small living room. My husband and I, we move our stuff from the bedroom and put them in the living room. Bed everything out in the living room. Gave she and my other small daughter the bedroom because they're girl children. You understand? When every time now, she there, we ain't finished this problem with my stepfather yet, but when every time my husband keep complaining, sometimes I see he feels vexed. Like he's saying like when every time he walking in the room, this is how she does dress unstoppable. It just might as well she wear panty and bra alone. She don't wear clothes at all. She'll be in the house, but cheeks hanging, belly skin showing with navel ring inside of it, breast, some part of the breast them showing, her little nunu printing out in the pants where she have on. This is how she dress. I sit her down, I talk to her, I say, the way how you are dressing is not appropriate. Say the way how you are dressing is not appropriate for a teenage girl like you. You should be dressing decent. That's when you go out there and a man watch you. He should be wondering what you have, or how you look under your clothes that you're wearing. But the way how you dressing, you're showing breast, leg, and thigh. You know, so they don't know everything when you got already. The only thing they just gonna want from you is just a little thing, and when they get that, they're gone.
Right.
I talked to her about this. When I talk to her, she tell me I'm miserable like my mother. I get in my mother attitude, and she don't like that.
Now, if you want to hear the rest of what was shared in today's recap, click the link down in the description and it will take you over to Unstoppable Live, where you can listen to the live stream in its entirety and hear what callers had to say about this one. Also, while you're there, hit that subscribe button and make sure to turn on all notifications. So once we go live, you can actually be a part of the live show, so you can call in and share your opinions as well. Alright? While you're here, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn on the notification right here as well, so that once we upload another recap, you will not miss it. Talk to me down below in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on this one. Until the next Unstoppable recap, stay strong, stay motivated, but most of all, remain unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.